Well, hello out there, Symmetry Nation. I am Doug Zay, Chief Operations Officer here at Quility, and I'm excited to be with you here today on May the 4th. Danny, I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan, but today is the day where you get to say, May the 4th be with you. So I've seen a lot of those messages flying around today, but I will be here just to introduce Mr. Young and get you kicked off on the builders call, and then I'll be back to join you on the national call. We've got, I'll talk a little bit more about this on the national call, but we've got a bunch of our carrier friends in town, brought them in to Asheville to the home office now that we've officially opened back up and got our buildings back operational, and all the construction and renovations are done. So it's nice to see faces again. We got quite a few folks kind of milling it back around the office, so it's been a good spring so far. But excited to have Danny Young on the call with us today. He's obviously a longtime veteran, both here at Symmetry, but also in the life insurance world. So you're going to want to get your notepads and your pens ready, because he's going to talk to you. And I love the topic for today, which is it's all about the writers. I know in the world of recruiting, of course, you gotta get them in the door, but really the key to success in this business obviously is getting people towards profitability, and towards being able to submit their first applications. It's been pretty awesome as we've grown organizationally to really have the opportunity to dive into our agent analytics in a more substantial way than I think we ever have. It's really produced a lot of insight. Namely the first one, and if y'all remember, it's probably been, I guess about a year, maybe a little less than that we rolled out the title of seasoned new agent, SNA. And that was really born out of that information and data that we've been analyzing, that really tells us, you get a person to get their first 6 apps in 6 weeks, and you got an agent on your hands. So I love the topic, and I think you can't get 6 apps unless you get 1. So Danny, I'm excited for you, and I think you've got a couple great folks, Marty Valor and Frank Brittis, here to join you.
That is correct.
Well, I'm gonna pass it over to you all and let you take it away from here.
Doug, I appreciate it, man. We got about 27 minutes. We got about 2 hours of stuff we got to get in, so we're gonna go fast today. You need to listen with squinted ears. So we're gonna be talking today about writers. I think that one thing people need to accept is the fact that your numbers, your premium, whatever you want to measure on your team, everything is the result of something. And your premium is the result of how many people you have out there writing business. And so it's all about, it's not about getting like 3 people and training them till the cows come home into superstars. It's about getting a lot of people and letting the winners identify themselves, which is what they do. I'll give you an example. We showed up in December of 2013. So 2014 was the first year for my agency. That year we did 2,200 applications for 2.49 million in premium. We had 77 writers for the year, 77.
Mm-hmm.
And then 8 years later, last year we did 21,000 applications for 21.8 million with 904 writers. 552 of those were new last year. And just understand that the writers didn't appear because we have premium. The premium appeared because we have writers, okay? And that's what we're gonna be talking about today. And I'm excited to be joined today by Marty Valor and Frank Brittis. I'm gonna start with Marty because I went back to September of 21. That's what, 8 months ago, I think. Believe it or not, seems like 2 months, but it was 8 months. And in September of 21, Marty Valor's agency, him and Hillary, their agency did 121,000 in premium with 16 writers, 16. Fast forward till last month, they did 290,000 in premium with 30 writers. And so I want Marty to come on now, and I want to, because people hear stuff like this, they see stuff like this, and their tendency is to say, wow, when what you need to be saying is how. And so Marty's going to talk to us a little bit about how they went from September numbers to April numbers, and just think what they're going to look like another 8 months from now, okay, doing what they're doing now. So Marty, take it away, man. I appreciate you.
And Danny, thank you so much. So grateful for you and to Brandon, Brian, and Casey for having the opportunity to be able to impact this many lives with this, and to have this opportunity to be a leader and everything that they've done. I always tell my team, I go, every day I become more and more appreciative of what Symmetry has to offer, and what it is now compared to 5 years ago when I came in. Now is the time. It's never been better. It's never been easier in this. And so a little bit of what I've learned over this journey. And of course, Danny, as I'm writing most of this down, preparing for this, I'm like, Danny said that, Danny said that, Danny said that. The good news is it only has taken me 5 years to understand that, and not 10. So I'm very grateful for that. But one of the biggest things that we realize is just, a lot of this business is people in and people out. And I think people were coming in and just were a little lost, because I think we were a little lost, and we didn't know how to attract the right person. And so one of the biggest things that helped us get more writers in here and keep those writers was having a clear goal of where we were trying to get to, a clear vision of where we were trying to get to, so that we could communicate that to the people. And what we found is, like, if you don't have a clear vision of where you're going, I'm telling you this right now, life and people will figure that out for you. So make sure you have that clear vision of where you're going, so then you can kind of deliver that to people, and it's going to help so much. The other thing was, and what we're doing is, like, how in the world do we know if we're doing the right thing if we don't have that clear vision? How are you going to know if you're lost if you don't know where you're going? And I think we didn't even know that we were lost until we tried to figure out, where are we going with this thing? And people go, oh, they know where they're going, we're ready to follow them. All of a sudden our riders came up. And without that destination in mind, Dan Young always uses this analogy. If you don't know where you're going with this, you tend to just pull off at every exit, and it takes you a whole lot longer to get there. And I'll tell you, one of the things we stopped doing was pulling off on every exit of this journey, because we knew where we wanted to go. But in that, this is what we figured out. We figured out who we are, in that process, and then we figured out who we wanted to be. And so then that allowed us to find the right person. And you know what, Danny, what we figured out in this business is when we're attracting the right people, right? Danny, you always say we were sugar packets trying to attract Splenda packets. And you were like, stop doing that. I didn't really realize that till a few months ago, when you've always told us that great analogy to stop trying to attract Splenda packets when you're a sugar packet. If you ever have lunch with Danny, you'll know what I'm talking about. But when we started attracting the right person for us, guess what the right person does in this business? The right person writes apps. They're going to follow along with this. And so we knew who we were. We knew what we were looking for. We found that right person. Because remember this, the right person for you is going to write. And that is a big deal. And they're going to stick around. So we're not apologetic for who we're looking for in this business. And we know what kind of person we want. I used to be kind of apologetic when I recruited people. Like, oh yeah, you want to have financial security, you want to have balance in your life, you want to have residual money. Oh yeah, you could come in here and produce. Sure, we'll take you, right? And of course, that really isn't the truth, to be honest with you. The truth was, if you want financial stability, if you want everything that Symmetry has to offer, which is incredible, then you need to come in here and build. And when we changed, took me way too long to figure this out, but when we changed that tone in our building of, we knew the questions we wanted to ask people, because we knew the type of person that we were looking for, and then we became unapologetic it was just honest. It's honest interviews of going, what do you want? And I'm like, okay, if it wasn't big enough, then I was like, you're going to quit here, and I don't want to waste their time, and I don't want to waste my time. But I go, man, you want to build here's how I want to build a legacy for my family. I want to do all these different things. Then it comes in here, you are going to have to build a team. Let us show you how to do that. And guess what? We started attracting sugar packets finally. And then all of a sudden our team starts recruiting because, again, for years, Danny was telling me this, Ben Safety Board was telling me this, is like, you need to attract builders because that's what's going to be successful here. And so we found the right person, and the right persons started writing apps. And then those people started to produce little producer babies, right? And that's where that growth is starting to come from. And so we're not apologetic for who we're looking for. We set clear expectations of what they want. And then we put high challenge in there, and we meet it with high support. I know a great thing that Brian Delaney told me one time was just like, you meet your people at 90% and you ask them to come 10. And I think that all starts in the interview process to getting them up and going here. And then they realize like that high challenge is there, that support's there, and you only have to recruit that person one time. Ben only recruited me once. Danny's only recruited all his teams one time, and he built a massive agency off of that. And so it's worth it. Figuring out who you are, figuring out what kind of person you really want and want to put your time and energy into. And I'm telling you, those people will start to write. And when those numbers grow, there is no more squeezing any water out of a dry towel, right? If someone's going to write 10K a month, they're going to write 10K a month. That's just all there is to it. And it's amazing. So you put more writers into your team. I look at the numbers, 121,000 with 16 writers and 290,000 with 30 writers. Well, guess what? Our writers got better. They're producing more. They're on it. You know what I would tell you? Most of our writers' production increased when they started building. The best thing that you can do in this is, if you have someone that's struggling in this business, have them recruit. Have someone look up at them instead of maybe hustling down there. I always tell, like, the best thing you can do for someone is get them someone underneath them that's going to keep them accountable. Watch their production and activity become consistent, because guess what? You got another writer. You got a writer, and all of a sudden the APV increases. That one person that you recruited that one time, their level of excellence increases. They're seeing what this thing has to do. And again, it's just, I don't know if we can do much more APV with the number of writers that we have. And so now we're kind of hitting that exponential factor of like, we got to have more of the right people coming in here. And the beautiful thing is Symmetry has so much to offer for so many different people. Who are you looking for? That's what I got, Danny.
You are unbelievable, my friend. And it's just awesome things ahead for y'all. I'll tell you, this thing, you build it to a certain size and then it starts growing organically. I heard Casey say that 8 years ago. I didn't know what he meant. And I really didn't know how a plumber's assistant could say something like that, but that's what it is. And you're on the brink of that, where it's going to start. You're recruiting people, developing some of those people into leaders, and those leaders are helping you grow your organization. So that's the plan here, right? I want to bring Frank Brendez from Los Angeles, California. Hadn't been here that long, less than 3 years, I think. But here's Frank's number. September, he did 78,000 with 12 writers. 78,000, 12 writers. In April, he did 306,000 with 36 writers. Frank, you want to tell them? I know you're not going to tell them that just happened because you showed up here and you just hung around for a while and it happened. Things happen because you have done something. Tell these people what you have done.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on, Danny. And I wanted to thank, my name is Frank Brendez, Regional Agency Director, direct to Sean Kim and the great builder himself, Mr. Kyle Cambrell, which I'm forever grateful for, guys. How did I do it? Simple. Turn over enough rocks, you're going to find they're going to reveal themselves, the rock stars. And that happened in September. Found a guy. He called me, basically called me directly, didn't have his license. It's one of those things that you get unlicensed agents and you don't think much, you just point them. And that's one of the key things that I think is crucial that we miss as leaders. I believe the most important thing as a leader is to provide direction and to provide clarity. That's it. If I have to provide motivation, probably not that guy. And just to kind of second Marty's points here, he's dead on. He's just dead right with everything he said. And I could actually end my entire conversation that way with what he said. The players are going to reveal themselves. So this gentleman, Todd Oyseth, basically came hungry, looking for an opportunity. He had been turned down. Can you believe he'd been turned down by someone that interviewed him, and he didn't stop? He found me on some YouTube video that I was doing, and he calls me directly. And I said, hey, you know, can you get your license in 2 weeks? And he said, absolutely. And 2 weeks to the day, he's like, Frank, do you remember me? You interviewed me. I'm ready. I have my license. Okay. And again, Danny Young says it best. He says, the players are going to reveal themselves. There's nothing you can do about it, but just give them, kind of be that traffic cop. That's what Cal Cambrell says all the time. And literally, I remember him getting his first carrier contract or carrier appointment with Americo. He didn't stop and say, hey, Frank, you know, what about Mutual of Omaha? What about, you know, SBLI? You know what he did? He goes, where do I buy leads? Pointed him to the right direction, purchase leads. He purchased the 50-cent leads at the time. And I remember, you know, we were having some family issues, some health issues with my father that, you know, God rest his soul, he passed away because of this horrible pandemic, this horrible disease. But at that time, I didn't have much time to focus on, you know, bringing in and just kind of babysitting this guy. Because and that's something Marty said, you don't babysit people here. And he gets an appointment and he goes, hey, Frank, virtual appointment. I got an appointment. Can you be on it? I'm like, absolutely. Of course, you're going to make time for your players, right? You're going to make time for people that are actually putting in the work and you know, getting, what I say is riding their bike, falling off and getting their knees scraped a little bit. You're going to put in a lot of work. You're going to basically give those guys attention. So the appointment goes, you know, I conduct it with him. It turns out it was a 50-cent lead. It was about a 4-year-old lead. The lady says, yeah, we're looking to replace our policy because it's coming up the term's coming due on that term, and we're looking for $1 million. And so that was the introduction to closing his first piece of business, Mr. Todd Oyseth. And that's all it took. That's all it took. It took one meeting, showing him how it's done, showing him how to write the application. And then within the next, man, I'd say he won the destinations trip. So I don't know if I'm supposed to announce that as a new writer. So what do? I just kept, you know, turning over, being consistent, turning over, finding new people. And I did, you know, I found new people, and one day, the next month, a beautiful couple came to me, actually reached out to me on my the Elite Inner Circle website that we have, reached out to me. And I rarely check that site, although I should be checking it very often, but I check it maybe once or twice a week. And I get an email, and it's this couple. And like, as Danny Young says, he's like, you know, you're going to get grown-ups here. They're going to come here grown up. And it was Chuck and Jen Aguilar, which, congratulations, got promoted, my next agency owners. And they brought in a whole lot of people. They had been in the insurance business for over 11 years, building, and they were just tired of that business model. They were tired of friends, family, and, you know, I can't say the other word, but they were tired of that business model, and they had been burnt from another IMO. And I just listened to them. And then I of course, we have a tradition here where if we find someone and we interview them, we want to basically introduce them to two people above you, right? So that was Sean Kim, God bless him, the Animal Kim, you guys know his nickname, and Cal Cambrell. And it was magic what happened next. They came in and just started working, started building from day one. I believe they have 25 writers. No, I'm sorry, 25 agents in their team. And out of those, half of them were writers. So again, there was nothing that I did, but just give them the opportunity, and these players will reveal themselves. So I have a couple of takeaways. I think first and foremost, you're going to attract who you are. Danny Young talks about this every single time, that we need to self-develop, because we're not going to be able to attract people that are, you know, that are above us per se. So that you have to do a lot of self-development. How do you attract self-business owners? How do you attract people that are, that have had success, right? So you have to work on yourself. And I can say I've done that a lot. We have book of the month clubs all the time with Cal Cambrell's master agency. He's really, really into something that he calls a rule of 5. I don't know if that's symmetry wide, but I know it by heart what it is. And the first rule of the rule of 5 is personal development. The second rule is, guess what? Biweekly leads. The third rule is get that thing issue paid. Dial in tills the second. Third is you want to basically go ahead and recruit and duplicate. So again, guys, I'm fired up about this. It's very simple. Consistency is key. And I will actually, if you guys want, ask Al Cambrell about the rule of 5. And that's it. It's nothing much more to say about this business. It's consistency. Mr. Young, I'm done. I don't know anything else to say.
No, what you are is unbelievable. Okay, Frank, thank you for that, man. I see what you do is in leadership and as a coach, do what Frank did. Just, pay attention. The winners will identify themselves. You don't have to do much more than pay attention. Okay, because winners are going to win, losers are going to lose. That's the way it is. Always has been, always will be. So Frank, I appreciate that. And we have a very simple,
thank you,
thing in my agency, very simple system that goes like this: get them in, and it doesn't matter how you get them in. I don't care if you do cold market, warm market, social media. You can go stand on a street corner with a sign if you want to, and you'll eventually recruit somebody. But the first thing is get them in. Then you want to get them involved. Get them on GroupMe or whatever you're using. Okay, let them listen to a dial session or something. But get them involved. Get them on the national calls, and then you got to get them licensed if they're not licensed. You can't get paid till you get licensed, and then you get them productive. Then you get them promoted, and sometimes in the midst of all that, get them somebody. If you would just do that, because I think the tendency is we get a new person in, and the first thing we do is we hook them up to about a 12-yard dump truck of stuff that they've got to do. You got to get on this, you got to learn this, you got to download this, you got, 74 calls a week, you got to get on this. And they came here all excited, and now their excitement is waning. And the number one thing required in recruiting is excitement. I use that excitement. My first conversation with somebody I recruit is not about any of that stuff. It's about, do they want to build an agency and the advantages of building an agency? Because the fact is, see, we give people a chance in life to change their life, but they're not going to change their life if they come here and they just sell. They can change their life if they come here and they build. So that's what we do. So understand this: our raw materials are people, but our finished products are leaders. See, the leaders that you develop in your agency they're the locomotives that are going to help you grow. They're going to help you pull those railroad cars. And that's what we want to do. So I've had the same job here since I got here. I've had the same job since I got into the insurance industry 38 years ago, I think now. But my job is like this, in this order. Number one, grow myself. Because when I grow myself, my business is going to grow. And if you want to know if you've grown, if you want to know if you are bigger now than you were this time last year, look at your numbers now compared to last year. That I know I'm bigger than I was in 2014 based on those numbers I gave you when I started. Okay. But you look at your number, there's a scoreboard here. That's good news for some people, bad news for others. Okay. The scoreboard, they're going to do a leader bulletin on the next call. That tells you if what you are doing is working for you. If it is, your numbers should be growing. If your numbers aren't growing, that means that you need to counsel with your upline probably, and you need to identify, tweak some things, try some other things, because just because something works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. The journey we're all on is to find what works for you. And then when you find that, do just that. And that's what I do. I found what works for me a long time ago, and that's all I do. I don't do anything but that. Doesn't matter to me what so-and-so's doing or so-and-so's doing. It doesn't matter. So that's my first job, grow myself, because you got to grow yourself in order to handle more people. See, building isn't about what you do. It's about what you can handle. How many people can you handle? How many problems can you handle? And the bigger you grow yourself, the more of those things you can handle. So that's my first thing, is to grow myself. The second thing I got to do is I got to identify players. And see, players are easy. Believe it or not, players are easy to identify. They ask the right questions. They're coachable. They have a work ethic. They attend everything. They have a great attitude, and they self-improve. That's it. Okay. If you've got somebody, for example, somebody's been in pre-licensing since 2019, well, they're probably not a player. Okay. If you've got somebody that doesn't get on the calls, they don't go to stuff, they don't do any of the things they're supposed to do, they're not a player. Players do these things. They're so easy to spot, it's unbelievable. And so that's my second thing, is to identify players, because that's who gets my time. I got the same amount of time everybody else does. Okay. And every minute you give to the wrong person is a minute that you stole from the right person. And you can't get that minute back. So you got to be very, very good stewards of your time. If you're an AO, that's the most important decision you make every day, is who's going to get your time, because who gets your time and what gets your time is going to determine your success here. And so the second thing is I got to identify players. And the third thing is I've got to develop leaders. That's my job. And I do that every day of my life. And so when you talk about the importance of writers, let me give you this. Somebody, I think Andrew Jimenez sent this to me a while back when I was going to do a call for him. But if you look at 2021 numbers, see, these numbers are not flukes, okay? These numbers are these numbers, and they're there, these numbers for a reason. But if you look at the top 5 from 2021, Marshall Whalen did $47 million in premium. Now understand this, new people, fairly new people, Marshall came here by himself, okay? Now he's got a bunch of people, but he came here by himself, so there's hope for everybody. 47 million last year, and he did that with 2,105 agents wrote at least one app last year in his agency. 2,105. Then you had Edward Pritchett did 46 million. Edward, by the way, did 3 million the year I showed up, 2013, and now he's at 46 million. There's hope for everyone, okay? But he did that with 1,574 writers. Then there was Linwood Watkins, did 31 million with 1,103 writers. Then there was me with 21 million with 904 writers. Then there was Brian Delaney with 19 million with 625 writers. Now, if you're keeping score at home, okay, the amount of premium and the number of writers match. And they're always going to match. Whoever has the most writers is going to win. And so the key is to find a bunch of people. The winners will identify themselves, and that's who you're going to win with. That's who you're going to build with. But you can't, you just cannot, you can't think that you can take anybody and turn them into somebody. You can't. You go find somebody. See, we didn't make, Ben Sapipor didn't make Marty Valor. He found Marty Valor. Sean Kim found Frank Brenez. What we need to be doing is finding more people and quit trying to change people, because the winners are going to come here and the winners are going to win here. That's just the way it is. But once again, leadership, which is what builders are. Leadership is about influencing other people's time. That's what we do. We have to get people doing the right thing long enough in order for them to win. And what you're looking for leaders. Leaders are builders of people. That's what they are, builders of people. See, you can teach people sales, but leadership has to be learned. And you learn that by getting people. You don't learn leadership and then go find people. You find people and they will teach you leadership, okay? Some of the stuff you learn is going to be learned easily. Some going to be learned hard, but that's the way it is. So leadership is not about what you teach your people. It's about where you take your people. And that is our job, is to take our people to a better place. What I say before, we give people a chance in life to change their life. It's absolutely unbelievable what we have a chance to do here. So what we do, look, we're looking for people who are smart enough to recognize an opportunity, but then they have to be brave enough to react to it. And then they have to be tough enough to endure through it. And just look, accept the fact that's not going to be everybody. You know, every prize has a price. And most people, look at the numbers since Symmetry was started. Most people will not pay the price for success. They won't do it. They look for easy, and you cannot change that in most people. I'm telling you, you can inspire people. You can't make them change. You can't. They don't change when they need to change. They don't change when they want to change. They change when they're inspired to change. So what you do is you be an example for your people. If you want your people to recruit, you recruit. You want your people to run appointments, you run appointments. You want them to make money, you make money. That's how this thing works. So I don't think I've ever been as excited about something in my life as I am right now, Doug, because this thing is going somewhere. And my wish for all of y'all, look, in an industry that's 260 years old and has thousands of companies in it, we're going to be a unique company in what we do for our clients, how we do it, the platform we're going to be using to do it, and the type of people we're going to do it with. That's what you have a hold of right here. So you need to make sure you're here when the good stuff gets here. As good as it is now, this is as bad as it's ever going to get. So you need to grab hold of somebody that's going and go with them and bring you some people with you. So Doug, with that, I appreciate being asked to be on today.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. I mean, I was listening as you were all sharing, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I've had that question asked to me so many times in my time here, which is like, well, how do I motivate this person? How do I? And my answer to that is, you can't motivate anybody. All you can do is create the conditions in which people can motivate themselves.
Yeah.
That's your job as the leader, is to create the environment, create the conditions. And a common question, I was looking at the Q&A. And I think there's a simple criteria that really effective people operate from. They're all saying, well, what are the qualities you're looking for? What are the qualities you're looking for? And that's a tough thing to nail down. But for me, it's always three things. Are they hungry? Are they humble? And are they smart? Right? You put those three qualities together. Hungry, they got a big why and they're after something. Humble, they're coachable. They're going to take direction. And smart, they're going to be able to jump in and be self-directed and working their way through what are inevitable challenges. So, I just think that's a wonderful example, and thank you, Frank and Marty, for sharing. And people always, to your point, they always want to know the right answer before they get in, and it's just like the right answer only exists once you're in and once you're moving through the process and once you're hitting those challenges and you learn how to overcome, because that path looks a little bit different for every single person on this call. So
right.
Hopefully everybody was taking some notes and jotting it down, because there's a lot of great nuggets in there. But I think the biggest thing I hear is get to work.
Right. Go find some people. There's 200 million people out there up between the ages of 18 and 76, 200 million. There's plenty of people that would come here if they just knew we existed. It's our job. It's incumbent upon us to go find those people. So that's what we need to do. Thank y'all.
Yeah, thank you guys. And we'll transition over and welcome Symmetry Financial Group to your weekly national call. I'm Doug Zay, Chief Operating Officer. I'll be your host for the call today. Been a minute since I've been on here as a host, so I'm excited to get back. The reason I am your host today is actually something really cool. We've got about 45 representatives from our various carriers that we invited here to Asheville today. So, usually they're the one inviting us and then taking us out, but we got so many big things to accomplish on our plates, and our carrier partners are integral in being able to accomplish that. So, had a meeting with them this morning, and they're having more meetings today. So our founders and the rest of the good folks are out there making sure that we move into the next phase of where Symmetry and Quility are headed, with strong partnerships with our great carrier partners out there. So I got with me on the call today Mr. Christopher Clark. And he's going to be joining us here in a little bit with agency owner Omar Diaz, and I will say Managing Vice President Christopher Clark, and got some good things to share about surrendering to success. But Chris is somebody that I've come to become friends with, and have really enjoyed getting to know you over the years, and just, man, so awesome to see the growth, the success you've had. I remember when we were, I think the first time I met you in person was at the Agency Owners Academy in downtown Asheville. I can't remember if that was 4 or 5 years ago. I remember you just kind of crossed the mark into agency owner land, and yeah, just love to hear a little bit about just the journey, what it's been like for you over the last several years as you've worked your way all the way up to the top.
Yeah. It's still a little surreal. But I mean, the depth of gratitude that I feel is profound. And you know, I'll do the introduction thing. My name is Christopher Clark. I am a managing vice president, direct to Symmetry Financial Group. Incredibly grateful to Mike and Jennifer Colburn for having that initial conversation, just all they still continue to do. And excited about our guest that we're having on today. Gonna show him some love. In my humble opinion, the best agent in Symmetry. And if somebody, you know, if that raised some hair on some people's back, that's okay. It's just my opinion. But yeah, it's been a true journey, and with you, Doug, and you know, the support and encouragement that you've shown me personally and professionally. It's my family and generations of my family are better for it. So I just, thanks so much, man. I can't say enough.
Wow, man, I've enjoyed it tremendously. And I think, you know, I mentioned on the last call, I mean, you bring those qualities forward. You're hungry, you're humble, and you respond to the direction and the things you need to look at. And I think that's, you know, key to success in any part of this business is, you know, you really got to have that ability to kind of and the willingness to step back and reflect on where are my gaps, what are the things I got to work on, what are the things I got to bring forward. And what I can say is doing that is well worth it. I think you're a great example of somebody who's been humble and taken that feedback and been able to work with it. And as we Danny Young shared on our previous call, also an extremely smart gentleman, which doesn't hurt as you're trying to figure out.
No, he's way smarter than he puts himself. He's the I may just be a small town Southern lawyer. You know, he's the Matlock of
just really and cool. Well, I appreciate you joining me. We'll hit the leaderboards here in a second, but